Need to remind.
We're now recording this meeting, everybody.
After you have entered your member page, then you will go to resources from the State League and click on that. Next slide. That will automatically take you down to this part of the page. And down at the bottom, I've circled voter services resources. So that's where you go. Up there at the top, in the middle, actually, you can see Be a Voter logo. That's our Be a Voter toolbox. So go there to that. Next slide, Jody. All right. And up there at the top, you'll see Get Out the Vote, Be a Voter campaign. So you want to go to Be a Voter. Next slide. Okay, you might recognize these are, we have stickers like this. And go to the next one, please. This is our checklist. We have provided to the Northwest Harvest Food Distribution, and also we've used it at 3 block or neighborhood events we did this fall. And that one is our special. This is unique just to our chapter, our organization, because it's the League of Women Voters Spokane. Because, and I learned this, those of you who know me well know me, I'm from Ohio, and you guys don't do the things out here like what I'm used to. So I put down, oh, the next one, Jody.
Sorry.
So I put down what I thought was common interest for the youth. This is geared towards our future voter. And I discovered that not every county in Washington is geared the same way. So this is special to us, and the other counties then can develop it towards theirs. But we have the QR codes for the kids. We talk about what might be important to them to try to encourage them to get ready to vote. Next one, Jody. Okay, now we're going to go back to the social media toolkit. Go to the next one. Okay, I have an awesome team of volunteers led by Sally Phillips that works the naturalization ceremonies and tabling events. I couldn't do the in-person events without them, but we are a local league of 150 plus members, and together we can do so much more. So, and you can do this without even leaving your house. Social media is a major part of the 21st century. One of my children makes his income knowing how to use social media. I don't understand it, but anyway, I can't begin to list all the platforms out there. Now, many of us grown at what we see as a negative influence on our culture, but we have to admit it is an influence. And instead of ignoring and hoping it goes away, we need to learn how to use it in a positive way. Our committee has addressed that in this section. I'm familiar with Facebook, and I use Nextdoor. Should have done this on them. Okay. And I use Nextdoor. I've heard of Twitter, and I know my grandkids have platforms I've never heard of. So here's a way to help get out the vote. First, you need to download the images. Whoa, back up. Over there where I put the red X, that's where you download the images. Okay. Make sure you know where you filed it. That's my biggest problem. I download it and then where did I put it? And you might need a grandchild to help. They're always good for that. Okay. Then there are 34. You can go to the next one now, Jody. There are 34 of these different graphics. So you have you can use one every day, and that's kind of what I've been doing the last couple of days. So you can download those on your social media platforms. And as I said, the biggest thing is, where did I put that picture? Next one. So here it is. That's what all my graphics look like under Be a Voter. Next one. I discovered when I downloaded the text document, it allowed me to also copy and paste the picture. That way I didn't need to download all the pictures as a zip file. But you know how you do something and you never can figure out how you did it? Well, that's what happened. Because when I tried to do it to the next picture, it didn't work. But anyway, if you can figure it out, that was much easier. Okay, next one. This is what my Facebook page then looked like. So there's a text you can copy and paste above and then put in your picture. Okay, next. Now we're going to go back to the whimsical social media. So these were some cute pictures we thought we would put out there for people to use. And you'll notice we have for the primary, and then we had for the general. So ignore the primary. Okay, go to the next one. And this is what those look like. And again, these are timeless. Sometimes over on the side here, they'll put when you should do it. So this next one is as soon as the ballots are out. This one, we'll see a little later. Okay, next. All right, so these are some of the whimsies. And what I want to tell you at this part, make sure you have the right date. But we've just recently partnered with one of the graphic education classes at Eastern Washington University. And they have been working on graphics. They are going to allow us to use them. I got to see them today and they are awesome. So as soon as they come out, Mary and Jan will get them and hopefully you can use those. But they're kind of neat because it was interesting to see how the college kids, what they thought was important for people to know. And yeah, there were some culture things that they had to explain to me, like, when is your vote cooking from The Rock? I guess that's part of his wrestling mantra. I didn't know that. I won't tell you what my husband thought it was, but anyway, so we'll get those out as soon as we can. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, aren't they, they're just cute. This one is a great one for our candidate form links now. It encourages you to use those links. So I think they're coming soon, aren't they, Mary, or you're not sure?
The forms are all online.
They're on the website.
So you can use those to link to this. Okay,
All right.
and that's it. Ah, I had to throw in my B's. So be a voter.
I just want to say there's water and ice over there. If anyone would like some water and ice. Thank you, Becky. All right, so that was a lot of information. Do we have any questions from anybody? Anybody need more specifics? We plan to post some links in the chat for those of you that are on Zoom. And then we had a request at our last meeting that we make the stuff that we can make easily available on Zoom, available to those in the room ahead of time. So I just want to tell everybody that we did when we sent out a reminder, because we sent out a reminder about the general meeting the weekend before. So I think it went out Sunday night or Monday. When did it go on? Sunday night. That had links and information that we were going to be posting in the chat in it so that you would have that ahead of time. So we did remember to do that. And we actually remembered to record too. So I think we're doing pretty good so far. All right. Are there any questions online with the Zoom crew?
I don't have any chats. Are you going to remind them that we are doing it?
Oh yeah, so thank you, Jennifer. Reminder to everybody on Zoom, if you have questions as we go along, go ahead and post those in the chat. We have the lovely Jennifer with us tonight, monitoring the chat for all of you,
Vanna today.
and letting us know what questions you have.
Oh, wow. We do have a question here
What you got?
from Jean Richardson. Could someone post the initial link to the sub-site for, that you meant website for the Be a Voter campaign? Do I have that? All that stuff that you showed us is,
On the state website, you can get it through your members only section.
Yeah,
okay,
you
so
have-
we saw it, but they would like a way to go there. If I could put it in the chat.
So I believe that link was added on that email that went out, but we can get it to put it in the chat. Yeah,
We
I
will
have
try.
that link.
We certainly.
I-
will.
I'll just, I wasn't logged in, that's why I wasn't finding it.
Find it.
Yes, you have to log in, Jean. It won't let just anybody use it.
I see, okay.
And I'm putting these 3 links in now. Those 3.
Yeah. Oh, weren't you going to talk about
Yeah,
4112?
I forgot
So
that.
we're not quite done.
Okay, can you give me, okay.
Part 2.
Part 2, vote 411 is my nemesis. But anyway, on the table are some lists of the candidates who have not filled in their questionnaire for vote 411. If there are any of your people, you know them, they're candidates, please encourage them. And our National League site has given us 3 videos that would be nice prompters. Somebody thought it was shaming. I don't know if it's really shaming, but it's prompters to get them to answer them. And there are issues both sides of this 411. So first we have to get them to send it in, then we have to get it uploaded correctly. So I think Jan was going to put them on our website, the same list. So you can,
I'm putting it right now.
She said she had, it's on the website.
yeah, it's on the
And I'm
website.
putting it in the chat right now.
Yeah, you're putting in chat, but it's already on our website. And the little videos you can use to help
And
encourage them.
will we take the chat and send it to her?
All of those
People have
people have not responded to the Vote 411 questionnaire.
Becky. All right, I think if we're good, and it's time to turn it over to Ian.
Great, we're moving ahead of schedule.
I know, yeah, I have no timekeeping job.
Thank you. Well, I'll take that first item up there that said Ledge 1471. That's Initiative 1471. That's being circulated right now by a group called Whole Washington. And it's a initiative to the legislature. So the signatures are being gathered through the end of December. And so this is the statement from the League of Women Voters Washington lobby team people following this particular issue. Although this initiative goes in the direction consistent with the new LWVUS position on, oh, I guess I should have said it's on health insurance coverage. LWVWA will not be joining as a co-sponsor for a variety of complex reasons. If the legislature takes up this issue, we will advocate for universal health care and public financing. However, League members in Washington are encouraged as individuals to sign on to this. You can work on the initiative, but the League itself will not be working on the initiative. That's about all I know on that. Any questions? If I could help find information for you. Okay, so that gets that little thing off our table. So now, ballot issues. Many of you who know that we've done things in the past, you know that we've always had a plethora of state ballot issues to give pros and cons on. And the only one that the majority of our league will be voting on will be the city proposition number 1. Now, those of you who take the printed paper probably saw this morning. So there it all is. You can read it in really fine print, or I think, Jennifer, you've got a link to, it's in the outline Jody sent out this afternoon. Jody, or April, sorry. And it was also in our preliminary materials. But this is the ballot issue that is on, and the proposition 1 to amend the city charter regarding the city attorney. And what this will do, it will, there are amendments to the several sections that are listed there. And then the question you get on your ballot is, shall this be enacted? And so you will fill in the bubble next to the yes or the no. The effective date will be as soon as the election is certified. So that's what we've got. Next slide, Jody. So to help us with that understanding, we've invited 2 people that have been involved in the issue. The guest speakers are Brian Beggs, our Spokane City Council President, and Jim McDevitt, a former U.S. Attorney. And I found these names by going to that link that I had, because way down, and when this got went forwarded to the county to put on the ballot, these 2 were on the pro and con committee for the, is there going to be a voters pamphlet come out on that where you guys have written stuff?
I think it's online.
It's just online. Okay, so we'll get that link for you as well. And so I see.
I just want to add, the best place to find this is VoteWA.gov.
Right.
And it's up there, it'll say, and once you click onto it, and put your name and birthday, up there they'll say voter's guide, and that makes it really easy then to find.
So then you can get, but the main things I've asked them to talk about are the things that are addressed in this proposition, dealing with the appointment and the removal of the city attorney, duties of the independent city attorney, and then the piece on special and independent counsel that are included in those provisions. So I've set it up so that they each get a chance to present for about 5 minutes. And then they each get a chance to respond, rebut, whatever the other one said, and then we'll open it up for questions. Okay? So and I just selected the pro first because that's what I always do. And there's no rhyme or reason to that, I guess. Oops. So we want to go back and then just close the PowerPoint so that everyone can see our speakers. So, Mr. Biggs, if you would come on up, please. We'll ask you to stand here. You get picked up by the owl. And people in the room.
Make sure he's picked up by the owl.
All right, well, thanks so much for having me and giving me a chance to share. I appreciate that you only gave us 5 minutes each with a little rebuttal, because you most want to answer your questions. So I just want to summarize at the top what this does do and what it doesn't do. What it does do is it gives the office of the city attorney more independence to give their honest legal advice without fear of losing their job over it. That's really the main purpose of it. The second thing it does is it gives some modicum of job security. If we want to recruit a senior experienced city attorney to the office, they would have 7-year term where they would have job protection unless they did something wrong, like any other city attorney, they could be fired for cause. So those are the two things that it does. What it doesn't do is it does not restrict the mayor or the city council from getting their own confidential legal advice. In fact, it actually provides for that. Right now, it's a little murky out there. If someone from the city attorney's office talks to me and I share my concerns, the client is still the city and anyone else. And so they could tell the mayor my concerns, or they could tell me the mayor's concerns, even if it was kind of one of those quiet conversations. So this would provide explicitly that no, each side could have their own confidential counsel. The other thing that it does is, in the spirit really of our charter, it requires that both the mayor and the council agree on who is appointed to the city attorney's office. And both the mayor and the council agree when the person is terminated for cause, if they are. And that really kind of goes to, I think, what was kind of an oversight when we put a new charter together at the city a little over 20 years ago. And that was, in the old days, the city council was in charge of the city. It was just really one branch of government, made all the laws, made the policies, passed the budget. And then we had a city manager who worked for us and implemented things. And the city attorney was just one more person the city manager hired for the city council. When we changed the charter, the idea was to not only have a strong city council, but to have a strong mayor that was elected by a majority of the people. And the mayor would be implementing the policies that the city council created, but they'd be independently elected and not subject to just being fired. And the idea, as I understand it, really was to make the government work together and kind of protect the citizens from a city council gone awry. And so you had both. And really, I find, in my time, almost 7 years on the city council, that you don't get anything big done unless both the mayor and the council agree. And it's set up that way. Having an independent city attorney who gives honest advice without being subject to being fired for just the advice, they would only be fired for doing something wrong, and only by both the mayor and the council, means that the mayor and the council would have to continue to work together on the big things. This good government idea came to me a long time ago. I first proposed it in 2010, long before I ever imagined I would be on the city council. It was when Mayor Werner was the mayor, and I was a supporter of Mayor Werner. But when I watched what went on in the city, and I was running the Center for Justice, and we had some opinions about improvements, I just noticed that the city attorney's office often got politicized. So I started proposing that. And then when I got on the city council in 2016, I renewed that proposal, and I have renewed it many times over the last few years. And it's not a knock on anyone who served as city attorney. It's a really challenging job. We've had a lot of great ones. But I just think to give them the protection to give their honest, independent opinions would be better. And I've talked with many former attorneys who've served in that role, and they have supported it. It's a tricky situation to be in. So I'm excited that the voters get a chance to vote on it. It's their choice. It's not anyone else's choice. And I'm just glad to bring them that choice to see if we want to go that way. With that, I will stop, turn it over to Jim.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And now, Mr. Jim McDevitt.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you folks. I know a lot of what the league has done. I really appreciate what you've done. We have one of your get out the vote signs in our yard. It's probably the 1 yard sign that hasn't been stolen so far. But anyway, so it's good. I really, one of the things I did, if I could kind of take an extra second or so, is I really appreciate what the league has done and how they appreciate open, transparent, well-researched government. I got to know Ann during the county redistricting, which I kind of got roped into, and Ann was there at every meeting, always had good questions, and kind of kept us on track. And so I really appreciate what the league does, and appreciate the fact that the league is for open, transparent, and well-researched government. And that's one of the reasons why you should vote no. As Council President Biggs said, this has been kicking around, at least in his mind and publicly, for a number of years. And if that's the case, then why did the city council put this through as an emergency ordinance, which provides for very little public input, provides for very little opportunity for anybody to make input, whether it's the league or anybody else. So it went through as an emergency ordinance. I think that's shameful, quite frankly. Secondarily, I know, and from the printed materials I've been provided, that the league is not in favor of the strong mayor form of government. At least that's what I read, some of the materials that Ann sent me. I can appreciate that. But the problem is the voters in 1999 put in a strong mayor form of government. The way to change that, if the city council wanted to change that, would be a sweeping ordinance that redid the charter and did away with the strong mayor form of government. The way not to do that is what this does, and that is death by 1,000 cuts. Chip away here, chip away there. The ordinance, for example, on the citing of essential public facilities, namely the East Police Precinct. This ordinance, again, it's just chipping away at the what the ballot, actually what the ordinance says, which is an insult, the quote strong or so-called strong mayor. Well, it isn't the so-called strong mayor, it is the strong mayor. I view that as an insult, just as it would be if I said the so-called council president. It's not the so-called strong mayor, it's exactly what the voters voted in 1999. And if it's to be changed, then it should be changed in an open, transparent, and thoroughly researched, not piece by piece by piece, kind of like water torture. The ordinance itself is poorly drafted. It's internally, it's inconsistent. It doesn't deal with section 22 of the charter. Section 22 talks about the fact that no city council member shall give orders to an administrative officer who's under the supervision of the mayor. Well, it really isn't very clear as to who supervises the city attorney. You can't tell me that you have a rogue city attorney unless you had one that was voted in, but this is not, this is appointed. You can't tell me that somebody doesn't supervise. And right now, section 22 of the city charter says that the city council is prohibited from giving orders to anyone who's basically under the jurisdiction of the mayor. I saw that up close and personal when I had the privilege of spending 4 months as Spokane's police chief, an unexpected pleasure, in 2016. I saw the city council, micromanaging the police department, and I put a stop to that. And I heard, people yelling to the high heavens. And I said, I only know one way to run an organization, and that is I run the organization. And I stopped that, and morale in the department went up because no longer were they subject to the political whims of the city council. Another inconsistency is section 24 of the ordinance. Section 22, the council can't give orders. Section 24 of the ordinance, the mayor has the power to appoint and remove. Clearly, that was left in the ordinance. Then section 28 says the city council shall appoint. Those two diametrically opposed provisions are still, would still be left in the city charter. A couple of other points.
Okay, we need to wrap it up here. Mr.
I will.
I see the other side.
This is an expensive, I'll wrap this up by saying this is an expensive experiment. It costs the taxpayers over $1 million of pay and benefits over a 7-year period. It guarantees someone a city retirement. No other city administrator or city employee has the luxury of a 7-year fixed contract. Dismissed for cause, what's cause? The courts have struggled with cause for years and years and years.
Okay. All right. Oops. We get to sing or something.
So,
I don't
Ann-
know what I got. Thank you. Okay,
And we have a question online in the chat.
can we hold the
We
questions?
can't,
Because we have a question section after they each get to rebut.
okay, got it.
Okay, well, we don't want to play.
Because I just wanted to check with them to see if they had, if their question got answered, because I think it might have
I'm
gotten
checking,
answered.
I'm checking.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, Mr. Bennett,
Oh,
can you come up here and you get some time to rebut? And then we'll hear again from Mr. McDevitt, and then we'll take all those questions, okay? So jot them down if you don't think you can remember them that long.
Put it in the chat.
All right, thanks so much. And I'll be brief, but would love to answer any questions. So a couple of things I heard is that somehow city council passed an ordinance to do this on an emergency basis. All city council did was put it on the ballot for you to vote on. So we didn't do anything other than that. We haven't passed it. It's not in place. The voters would have to decide. Typically on ballot initiatives in Washington, you have to have one subject. So you're not doing a complete rewrite, all the different sections of it. So it is consistent. A lawyer did draft it, not myself. I heard that there was some conflict between 24 and 28. Section 24 doesn't say the city attorney is appointed by the mayor. It says in general. And what happens when you have a general thing and a specific thing, the courts interpret the specific thing. And this is very specific. There's nothing in here that has the city council supervising the city attorney. That's not the intent. It's only about giving them the same job protection that the other 2,000 employees at the city have, which is to have the job for at least 7 years unless they're fired for cause. And that is almost all the employees at the city are in that situation. It's very similar to the police ombudsman. When you want independence, you need to give people some protection, and that's what this does. The ombudsman's protection is 3 years, not 7, but this is very consistent with that. And finally, I'll just pass up on the budget thing. It doesn't cost anything more than keeping it the way it is. Right now, the city attorney is vested in the retirement, so he will get paid his retirement. You're gonna always have a city attorney. So as long as they're there, they will get paid the salary. They're not getting paid double. It's just that you don't remove them unless they've had enough misconduct that they can be removed for cause, and both the mayor and the council. So they're not double dipping. I would submit that it's budget neutral.
Okay, Mr. McDevitt. Give you about 3 minutes.
Thanks, Brian. First of all, one of the things said is we need to do this to get a quality city attorney. First of all, a city attorney can make up to $180,000 a year plus benefits. Secondly, you can't deny that over the past several years, for example, we've had quality city attorneys. Nancy Isserlis, well-known attorney, a liberal appointed by a conservative mayor. politics has nothing to do with being a city attorney, any more than it did when I was United States attorney. You check your political baggage at the door. Mike Ormsby was appointed, another liberal, appointed by a conservative mayor. Council President Biggs himself has praised Mike as being an outstanding city attorney. I can go back through a number of city attorneys. The idea that you have to offer a 7-year contract to get somebody of quality is, I'm afraid that's bogus. Number one, $180,000 a year is well above the average income for an attorney in Spokane. Number two, having served as a city attorney, just like the U.S. attorney, no matter how long or how short on your resume is not a bad thing. So you're going to get, regardless of whether job protection or not. If somebody is more concerned with job protection to take that, then they're not worth having the job. You need to be able to speak truth to power. You need to take a job like that and do the best thing you can for the city, for the citizens and all that. That is very, very important. So the idea that you need to do this to get quality attorneys is an insult, I think, to the attorneys that have had the job before. Again, I think this is unnecessary. As far as independent counsel, and I'll wrap up with this, the rules of professional conduct now provide that the city attorney, as it has been done in the past, can provide an attorney to advise the city council. And as the rules of professional conduct say, you wall that individual off. In other words, administratively for pay and administrative purposes, that attorney is assigned to the city attorney's office, but he or she is dedicated to the city council, and by the rules of ethics, standards of ethics, does not disclose the work or the opinions that they do. That is clearly provided for within the canons of ethics. I experienced that as United States attorney, where I was walled off from cases that I may have been involved in when I was in private practice. So it's very, very often done and can be done and has to be done. So it's been done. So this is very, very unnecessary as far as being able to get independent legal advice.
Just stay right up here, because I'm going to ask Mr. Biggs to come up. It'll be easier if you're all right here close to the mic. So let's go to that question on Zoom, Jennifer.
Arm wrestle.
Yeah, well, we could do that too. We could, rock, paper, scissors is how some things get decided, right? Jennifer, what was online?
So Aruna asked, how would having an independent attorney for the city affect the city budget? And I think both of you addressed that however you did. How would having the attorney benefit citizens?
Oh, okay, we'll start here.
Well, I don't, first of all, the budget part of it is the vested for retirement after 7 years. And that's part of it, because then you would end up with a retirement, et cetera, et cetera. I don't see how this would benefit the city at all, any more than the current city attorney makeup is. There are 11 civil city attorneys, 16 or 17 prosecuting city prosecutors. That isn't going to change. There's been in the voters guide, they said that it's going to make Spokane safer. Well, unless that city attorney is carrying a gun or has arrest powers, I don't see how that's going to make the city any safer. So I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay, and do you benefit to the citizens?
Yeah, so I think the benefit is that you get what I would submit more independent legal advice. And that means the decision makers, whether it's the mayor, whether it's the council, whether it's individual department heads, are getting the best advice without fear that they're going to be fired for giving the advice. And that's going, I think, to make our city safer, because we're going to make less political decisions and more legal based decisions. And I will say the benefit, the quality of the candidate pool, what I have argued is not that we have had low quality city attorneys, because I said already, I've worked with them, they've been good, but we would have a bigger pool of them. Right now, they tend to be people at the end of their careers or working for the city attorney's office who get appointed to that. Typically, that's how it's been since I've been in Spokane. When I was serving along with Mayor Condon, he had someone who was right in the prime of her career, Laura McAloon, who really wanted to be the city attorney, and he wanted her to be. But she had a whole practice built up, and she knew that Mayor Condon wouldn't be there that long. And so she said she would only do it for the 7 years, because she wanted to make sure if she was going to give up all her client base and all her ability to make money in the future, she would be able to vest in the pension and she would be there. So I think if you give that option to people, I mean, I agree, you should serve as city attorney because you care about public service. But it is a harder choice to give up a business you built up if you're not going to have it. I think more people would apply. We'd still pick the best one. And if they're in the pension program, it doesn't cost the city. Everyone contributes while they're there in the city, and the city contributes while they're there. But after they're there, the pension system is independent. So it's not costing the taxpayers any more.
Okay,
One more.
let me see if there's any in the room. We'll alternate room and Zoom. That's kind of, any questions from in the room? Can you come up and ask your question into the mic? So it's,
Well, I know both of you, and I'm kind of a quiet lead member. When I saw this topic, I was really intrigued because I wanted to know more. I have been able to work with the city attorneys in jobs, as I've worked with both of you. And I was wondering, just because I'm trying to educate myself, can you give an example of something facing the city today that is at a juncture point, that if this was enacted, how would it make a difference?
okay, and I'm just gonna, we didn't do the say your name thing.
Oh,
And so
I
I'm
can
gonna
say
say Ariane Schmidt, for those of you on Zoom that can't read her name tag here in the room. So we'll start here. We'll alternate it.
Well, right now, the example that comes to mind is the big issue of the day is Boise v. Martin. For those of you who know, is a Ninth Circuit decision that limits whether or not you can remove people who are trespassing, camping in our public right of way. And there's different opinions about how far you can do it, how you can enforce it. It's, you know, frankly, we have an opinion, and then we're trying to figure out how it might play out in Spokane. And my judgment about it is that that has impacted who is our city attorney today quite a bit. And I have fears that the interim city attorney, in order to hang on to that position, is going to need to stick with the mayor's position on it, as opposed to give his own independent position. So that's I don't know for sure. And it doesn't really matter, I think, for the confidence of the citizenry, whether it's actually happening or there's just a fear that it's happening. That's the challenge of the situation. When you don't have the formal job protection, then people are always wondering. I think the majority of the city attorneys have just spoken their mind to it. But when that perception is out there, are they just doing it to keep their job? That undercuts faith in government, and that's what I'm trying to restore.
Well, let me go back and correct one thing. Laura McAloon is a bad example. The reason Laura McAloon, who's I know very, very well, I've done airport work with her, the reason she opted not to take the city attorney job is because at least 3 city council members made publicly very, very disparaging remarks about her. And she said, and I know this from talking with her, I don't even need to deal with this. And she stepped out of the fray. With respect to the independence of the city attorney, again, you check your politics at the door. If you're worried about being fired, you're in the wrong business. If you're not able to speak truth to power, as I did several times as United States attorney to the people whom I owed my job to, if you're not willing to speak truth to power, then you've got the wrong person in there.
Okay, it seems Jennifer has another question.
One more question. This is regarding the strong mayor form of government, so have that in mind. Where would we members find the documents referenced in Mr. McDivitt's remarks regarding the local league's position on the strong mayor form of government? That's a lot of words. Should I read it again?
No, because I can answer.
Yeah,
It was in the document that was presented to the board when it considered the motion, and it is in our league handbook in terms of what the league supported. And obviously, you know, it's not one you take out just because the government changes. But it is in our positions. So that's where that came from. And just because Jim's in the same household with Gretchen. She asked me for that paper and then got to read it. So there you go. Do either one of you want to comment on? I don't think there's anything
No,
more.
that's the league's position.
Yeah, it's the league's position. So any other questions in the room? Any more on Zoom? You're each going to get a little more time. Jennifer?
I am curious if that answered the question about where to find it. Like, did that make it clear that you can go to our website?
It's on the
and that you can find
website,
it? Yeah.
in the
I just
member
double
handbook.
checking. In the member handbook on our website.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear for the person that asked the question.
Okay, and if you can't find it, they can send me an email and we'll get it figured out. Okay? All right. Gretchen, then will you come up here so it's on the mic, we get it on the microphone?
Full disclosure, I belong to her. So.
Yes, Gretchen McDevitt. I'm a retired educator, school counselor, and I'm concerned about cause, firing for cause. I think it would have been okay if you had done that, the city council had to approve the firing or the mayor, they both had to. But I've been in situations where we've had some teachers that we had not felt were doing a good job for the students. And it took one in particular that I'm thinking of to fire her for terminate her. It took a 3-year process. It took hours and hours to do that, and created a lot of animosity, teachers testifying against teachers. And so firing for cause is very, very difficult. And so why, that's, I guess, my response. Why is it firing for cause when it can be very difficult?
So why don't we start here?
Well, I
So,
think it's more to Mr. Beggs.
right, and then we'll allow Mr. McDevitt a chance to respond as well.
Yeah, so firing for cause is very common out there, and it does make it harder to fire someone. That is the point. It's to protect workers' livelihood, because it's all fine and good to say, oh, just get another job. As there is, that's not really how the way the world works typically. At the city, we have thousands of workers who have for cause protection already. They do, and so we have to work with that. And the way, I've done a lot of employment law, and you can fire people for cause. You do have to document it. You do have to document it, and you have to go through a process. And public employees in particular have more rights than private employers. Private employees do, but it can be done. Are there cases that someone that doesn't document it well, or the system just doesn't work? Yes, that there is no perfect system, just like there are tons of cases every year where people get fired for illegal reasons, but they don't have a lawyer, or they can't figure out how to get the system. So on the edges, there are problems. I would just, again, submit that in the long run, providing that protection for this position, we provide it for almost all the positions in the city, but for this position, the trade-off you get, the value that you get, is that the person doesn't have to be in fear of losing their job for no reason. Will it take a while to get them out if you need to? It can, but we do it all the time. And frankly, even people who, like the police chief that Jim replaced, who got fired because he didn't have that protection, he sued us, we had to go through all that, and we came out at the end of that as well. So it typically works out well. My last thing I'm just going to say, just to go tit for tat with Jim on a small thing, on Laura McAloon, it is true that she did get crosswise with some council members on it, but she said she would only do it with the 7-year contract, and that mayor presented to us to do that. So it may be true that even if she had gotten the 7-year contract, she wouldn't have done it, but she would not have done it but for that contract.
Well, the for cause, and I've seen this as well. When I became U.S. attorney, the employee protections, it took me a year to get rid of somebody that hadn't shown up for work for 6 months. So that, that's your federal civil service, and not a whole lot different than within the city. Does for cause mean if the attorney is mediocre? Is that for cause? I don't know. Is it because he or she is lazy? As Brian has indicated, it gets a little fuzzy around the edges. If you're not willing to take a job where you stand on your own merits and you could be out of there tomorrow, you're not worth it, not worth having the job.
Okay, thank you. We have one more?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
How, if at all, would this change the relationship of the medical examiner's office with the city county?
And I don't think it would, because we don't interact with the medical examiner. That's purely accounting.
that's a county office, agreed. So what I want to do now is go ahead and let each one of our speakers get about a minute or so here to give a wrap up. Or you had your hand up. Did you have something? Not you, Mary, the gentleman behind you, or were you just waving at us?
Yeah, the only question.
What, would you come up here and state your name? That you didn't get a name tag, and I don't know.
My name is Mike McClain, and the only question I had was, at the very beginning of the presentation, there was a box that had a couple of sentences and then the question to voters under it. And is that exactly what we're going to see on the ballot?
Yes, it is. That's exactly what's on the ballot. Yeah, because they give you that language and they ask you if you want to enact that or not. And if you're just reading about it in that little box, you won't know what all those sections refer to unless you've done some research.
That's why I'm asking.
Right, exactly. And so that's why we're doing this. And pointing out where you can go and see on VoteWA.gov, you can actually get in there. You can read, get your magnifying glass and read what was in the paper this morning. It shows the new language, in the whole standard, underline what's new, bracket out what's anything coming out. So that's where you find out the nitty gritty of what's happening in each of those sections. I just didn't feel like it bore into lots of slides up here because we have directed you all to the link. So we're going to start with you, Mr. Beggs, to do a closing statement here.
All right, well, again, the purpose of this is just good government, making sure that the legal advice we get, whether you're the mayor, the council, or department head, and even basically the community members, is independent and not out of fear for losing their job or not perceived that way. And I think at this time of ever, there's a time is to boost confidence in government. We're asked to do so many things. We're attacked no matter what our beliefs are from all sides at all times. And I think that this will help that. It won't cost any money. And it will do another thing, as I mentioned, it will continue to move the mayor's office and the council's office together. Under our charter, we have a strong council, we have a strong mayor, and they don't use those terms in the charter itself, but that is the deal. And unless we can work together, we're not going to get anything done. I think this will support it. I think giving someone the 7 years and for cause will attract a wider pool of candidates that we can choose the very best. I'm confident that if we choose together, we will not choose a lazy or mediocre person. And frankly, everyone who works at the city and who's part of a union and has fought to be able to have some basic rights, I think deserves for cause. And I'm working for more people to have it. And I don't have it other than I have it for a little bit until the voters choose. But I just think it works better for people. And theoretically, if it's a perfect economy and anyone could go anywhere at any time, then that's fine, but that's not how it works. So I am in support of workers' rights, no matter what level they are at the city.
Thank you, Mr. McDevitt.
I think the city charter, and again, I'll have to check. I think the city charter does say strong mayor. And it is the strong mayor form of government. And as I said at the outset, I think the way to change that is to change the entire charter. I will grant to Brian that the city charter as it stands now is a little bit ambiguous in a number of ways, and could stand an overhaul. But the way to overhaul it is not cut by cut by cut. It's not piece by piece by piece, as this purports to do. It would be an entirely new city charter that is put to the voters. And if the voters wanted a council manager form of government, then that's fine. That could be voted in, and that should be on the ballot if that's exactly what they're trying to do. Instead, this just piece by piece by piece, takes away the powers of a strong mayor. It's expensive, it's unnecessary, it gives job protection greater than any other city employee has. There are provisions now under the rules of professional conduct for lawyers that the city council can have independent legal advice from an attorney out of the city attorney's office that is assigned to them, that doesn't share confidential information per the rules of ethics. That is available now. It's been used in the past. And also right now, both the mayor and the city council have the ability to go outside and seek outside counsel on issues that they want outside counsel advice. So it all exists right now, and this is totally unnecessary.
Okay, and with that, go do more research if you are looking for it. And we thank both you, Mr. McDevitt and Mr. Biggs, for sharing your information. Thank you.
You want me to just segue?
Yes, that would be fabulous. Thanks, Bill.
Because unfortunately, I get through the next set of slides because Sylvia's down somewhere climbing in Arizona. So we need to go to the slides, Jody. What? Oh, okay, talk amongst yourself for a minute or whatever. And thank you, both Mr. McDevitt, Mr. Biggs for coming. You're welcome to stay, but I certainly can understand why you would want to get into more league business. Oh,
I have a handout if anybody, just a fact sheet.
that'd be great. If you, we'll leave it on the table. Here, let's put it up here. And then, do you have it electronically?
No. Oh.
Well, all I would say is you could send it and we'll post a link to it for those not in the room where it happened. You're in your own special room there. So how do we had that question about a league position. Well, how does league get to a position? And I know some of you maybe know this backwards and forwards in your sleep, but we're always getting new people and people needing refresher courses and how this happens. So I'm going to play the teacher role and wait till people are ready. And that's okay. So as you look at this slide, this is what it takes. It takes 2+ years to go from an idea through the process to get to a position that can then be acted upon or not. We have the example from the State League relative to the initiative 1471. There is a position supporting the issue, but apparently there are issues with the actual initiative. And so that's why they chose not to take it at this point, a position on the initiative. And then we have the position that answered the question, and you should all, it's wonderful bedtime reading, go read all those positions that are in the member handbook. And so that you know what has happened. And yes, some of those positions have been there for a long time, but they have been put there by through this whole program of work process. And this is program of work league style. And so it starts, and it will start this coming January in an odd year. Local leagues then present ideas for studies. And we will we'll have a January meeting on program planning. We do this on an annual basis in our league. We have not done a study in an incredibly long amount of time. Mary, can you even remember the last one we did? And the state has not done one in, I would say, well, 2013 was when the state did its last study. That's what people don't know how it works. So the program of work questionnaire that we fill out goes to the state board for a review in March of that odd year. And then they go through a process compiling that information from all the other leagues in the state to see where there might be some synergy around an issue. And it really helps if there is some kind of local committee really supporting something as well. And then, so the board makes its recommendations for what we call recommended program. And then that's what comes up at convention. Now, our state convention happens every May or June in the odd year. So next year, it's actually May this year, the convention will be, May 4th through the 7th in the Tri-Cities. And there as delegates, those people will vote on whether or not to adopt an item for further study. Next slide, Jody. So then after it's approved at convention, or in our case, if we did it, it would get approved at an annual meeting. So then in May and June, a statewide committee is formed and the kickoff happens. It's open to all members, although sometimes communication just doesn't get out there so that you know that you can say, hey, I want to sign up for that. But just so you know that if something interests you and you see it come up through the approval process, you can get involved. And then in the fall of that odd year, through the next year, that's all about data writing, gathering, writing the actual study, doing review, technical reading committees, and then the board gives approval to, the state board gives approval to that document. And then it enters the next step. Next slide. And this is where we are with the current list. You're hearing about the Shoreline Study and the local news study. This is where we are with those in the fall of an even year, where the study materials and the consensus questions go out to the local leagues to then respond. And so that the state board can wind up getting back information from every league in the state of Washington. And there are 20 some leagues, all of varying sizes all over the state. And so the study committee will pull all that data together, make a proposal for a position to the state board. And then the state board can accept or revise that position. And at that point, the position is usable. And then at the following convention, then it just is accepted into the entire positions. Positions for the state league are in a document called Program in Action. And you can access that through the state league site. So Jennifer, maybe you want to type this in, it's real easy. www.LWV.org. And that's the state website. And you can go to that and you'll find a button that talks about positions and advocacy and all of that. And then people who are on our lobby team can then advocate. Am I out of time?
LWVWA.
Yeah, did I leave that out?
Yes, you did.
That's the national one, if there's nothing after, so thank you. LWVWA.org. And so then the state lobby team will work in the legislature, and then whatever positions are adopted at the state level, if we have a member group here that wants to look at using state positions, they can do that. And that's certainly how our housing and homelessness group has worked through positions that were developed both at the state and national level, because we don't have much locally. I don't think we have anything, do we?
We sure have problems locally.
Well, I mean, yeah, the problems, I meant the position statement. So that's the process. So you can see that it's a monumental process. And questions on that process? Yeah, Mary.
The other Mary. This is on a website?
It's in the slideshow that will be this set of slides that you're talking about.
I'd really like to see this put in our, not even under member, I'd like to see it under anybody, like Brian can come in here and look up.
Yeah, we
I'd
can,
love to see that simplicity, because we're better informers if we let people know how we approach things.
good point. We can work on that. We'll pull out these 3 slides. I'll make a cover sheet for it, and then we can post it on the, no, I'm gonna marry, I'll figure out a place.
How we get positions.
Okay,
So we have a raised hand online. It's
okay,
Jean Richardson has her hand up.
okay, Jean.
As I was listening to the presentation, I was thinking about the younger people that we're trying to get involved and really have the need of involvement in our organization, and their urgency around targeted issues. Presented with this kind of 2-year process, monumental, as you use the term, Anne, they're just likely to walk the other way with their hands in the air. How does the league address more urgent kinds of issues that need to be considered?
And not only is it monumental, I quite often say that league moves at glacial speed, which I know is problematic to our TikTok generation. So, but this is what gives the credibility, and maybe, you know, it will be a smaller group that winds up getting involved in an actual study process, but there are plenty of other places to be involved. You can work through, sometimes you can work through ad hoc task force type committees to act on existing positions, because there are plenty of positions to just go do action and not even have new studies. This particular Shorelines one that we are talking about is actually an update of an existing position that was, well, the Shorelines management plan went in place 50 years ago, and I don't remember offhand the date of the original study. So I know that's not a very good answer, Jean, and certainly, you know, there are some pieces of process that have, I don't want to say it's the way we've always done it, but, you know, for this matter, quite frankly, it is because of the solid credibility it gives. And maybe those individuals could come with help to help move the process along.
Well, I'd just like to tag on a follow-up there. We were opening our meeting tonight with comments around DEI, and young people are a pretty important group to include. So is there any action around this to make the league more accessible and its processes more accessible to a younger audience? I know I have tried to get younger women involved, and they have said, don't waste your time.
Well, then whatever ideas you're getting or the actual statements might be helpful to be brought forward, maybe not right here tonight, but looking, because this is a process that is part of local, state, and national leagues, unless you want to just go to action and not do new studies. I mean, this is just the one piece. I mean, I think the title I put on this is the many facets of league, but you have, in order to do action, league does require that there is a position statement.
And in our training, it's very good. And in training civics, one of the activities is political science in the American government was set up not to move tomorrow. It was to move methodically. You don't get your peer review in science or anything like that on a 3-month, you know, think about it, write about it, hurry up and get it done. And if that's what everybody's thinking, they need to go back and read their political science school of the American government being set up so it moves with methodic reason and review.
And deliberation.
Yes.
Okay. Lynn.
I
I just want to say that I think on the national level, in the last probably 10 or 15 years, we've been moving a little faster than at the local level. And I just wanted to say that because if you show young people maybe our national level, they might be really interested in it. It is, and the people that we get in league conventions and council are a little ahead of how we're working. So I just want to mention that. Thank you.
Okay, but this is how we're all working with those 3 slides. So just keep that in mind. And I know we need to toss it to Amy to talk a little bit about the Shoreline Study. So I know Amy's online and there's a slide, but we need to get Amy up here.
Aha, okay. And I think I can go without the slide, but if you want to put the slide up, you can.
Hi, they're coming.
Hello, okay, I will wait. I'll be patient.
No, there you go.
There we go. Okay, so as I'm Amy Compostine, I'm the chair of our Environmental Issues Committee, or as we're affectionately referred to ourselves as the Enviro team. We are heading up the Shoreline Study consensus process for our local league. So if you'd like to be involved in that, we'd love to have you. And there's a few things we'd ask you to do if you can. You can still participate even if you don't have time to do the homework, but you'll be able to participate in the discussion. If you download and read the study, read the discussion materials, there's some discussion questions, and then consensus questions that we'll go over as a group. And then there is a recording of a briefing of the study that was done, presented by the committee who put this study together. So that would be a good presentation to watch as well. And then attend our meetings. So our environmental team is meeting this Thursday at 6:30. And we'd love to have you if you want to join us. That's October 13th. And then we will also have another team meeting on November 3rd to do discussion on the material as well. And then we're planning on leading the consensus process in the November general meeting as well. Any questions? And I think there was some stuff that was going to get put in the chat for links to all of that stuff. Okay, great.
You look in the chat to see if I did.
We posted, does it work?
And so that information was also in your voter that came out the first of the month, and the voter is also posted on the website. The very first button where it says voter.
Yes, thank you, Ann.
Yeah, and the first meeting, the one that's this Thursday, is a committee meeting, but we'd love, and I have to serve on this committee as well, and Amy and I have to talk about this. We'd love to have people come. It's a Zoom link, so send a request to info@LWVSpokane.org. No, it's not working yet? Okay.
It didn't paste as links, so we're trying to fix that.
Okay, so that link unfortunately is not working. If you want to come, I'll send you the link.
We'll get it in there.
Yeah, we'll get it somewhere. Maybe we can get a reminder out on this and have the link go. I don't know. I should quit thinking out loud.
All right.
And then I put my email in the chat as well. You can also email me and I can send you the link.
Okay.
Okay.
April.
All right.
Tossing it back to
Look
you.
at this. We're like clockwork. Yeah, we're amazing.
Hey, I wanted to remember to tell everybody in the room that we have these little slips up here if you want to grab one. And it's got all the contacts for who's doing what in the league on here. Most of them, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so if you need to get a hold of voter services and any of that stuff Becky was talking about, her emails on the sheet of paper. So contacts are here if you want to grab one on your way out the door. And then we're going to share our slide for our last little bit here again. And I want to thank Jody. She has been absolutely fabulous this whole entire night, keeping up with all the demands and the click here and the click there and do this and do that. So good job, Jody.
And
All right. This is my call out for membership. So remember that to renew your membership, it can be done online at the LWV Spokane.org. You can go there and you can renew with a credit card if you want to, but if you don't want to, all you need to do is go there and fill out the form and then mail a check. So if you prefer to mail a check, you just send it to the 2404 North Howard, and that's on the site too. It's laid out. I think I copied and pasted this off our website, so all the information is on there. And you're fine, you can leave it there. And then just to call out that typically they're due in September, so if you haven't done it yet, it's okay, do it now.
I'm being asked if this is announcement time.
Oh, yes, we're getting there. So we got the screen up that tells you the important dates. Keep in mind this Thursday, October 13th is the environmental team meeting about the shoreline. So if you want, Amy put her email in the chat, and it's on this piece of paper as well, if you'd like to reach out to her about that meeting. And then on the 23rd is the forums, which are sold out. So that's going to be a pretty exciting event. So oh, yeah. If you want to volunteer, there's a sign-in sheet here that Lynn has if you want to still volunteer on the 23rd. Oh, sorry, right here, this one, get this right. But you can email Lynn as well. So when they go to the main page, is it got the,
Actually, it's
in the voter. So maybe we'll get that posted in the chat as well, your email address. So it's Lynn McGinn 2 at AOL.com.
Where do you want me to put this in?
Yeah.
Lynn spelled how?
LINMCGINN and the number 2. Don't spell out 2, put a number there.
Yes.
At AOL.com.
They're still in business, huh?
Yes, they are.
We should say that there is going to be a training about that, so the faster you can let us know, so we can let you know. The faster you can let us know, so you could participate in the training for the October 23rd forum. We just want, there's going to be security there, so we want everybody to be on the same page that day. Thank you.
I have a question about that. Someone asked me yesterday about this volunteer opportunity. Who did they reach out to specifically?
Yeah, so it's posted in the chat. It's Lynn McGinn, and her email is lynnmcginn2 at AOL.com. It's in the chat.
Thank you. I'll pass.
Can we send this chat out in the next day or two?
Yes. Okay. So that was another failure on my part after the last meeting. Still working out my ducks on these meetings. They can be a little intense, but I'm getting better at them.
Are we able also to share the recording that we're making? Is that okay
Yes,
to do?
so 2 plans. We did get the recording started, so we've already successful there, and we're going to get that up on our website. So we'll get that to Mary, and Mary will put it up on the website. And then the chat, that's the thing we're still trying to work out the logistics on. People don't like getting all these emails from us. We get complaints all the time. You're sending too many emails. We don't want to hear from you people anymore. So because of all of those complaints, we try and group emails together and put information out together in one email when we know we have information. So sending out a mass email to everybody with the chat in it is a logistical piece I'm not sure how I'm going to handle yet. So if anybody has suggestions about how we can get the chat out to people without having another mass email go out to everybody, I'm still pondering that one.
Well, it can go along with the recording.
Well, the recording will be posted on our website. We're not sending the recording now. People will have to go to the website to look
Can we
at
post
it.
the chat on the website?
Can we post the chat on the website, Mary?
We'll try.
We'll try. Okay.
We'll turn it
We'll
into
try.
a Word document and then.
Yeah, we'll try. That's a good suggestion. Yeah, Lynn.
Just a reminder that the forum on the 23rd is sold out. So about the only way you can see it in person is by being there and helping us. Thank you.
But I'll remind you of a few things related to that. The forum will be streamed. The Secretary of State will be streamed. KSPS will broadcast it live at 5 o'clock. So you have that opportunity. And then it's going out to multiple venues to run it again. KSPS will also run the Secretary of State. I think he said Tuesday, were you listening to what Jim Zimmer said? That, but it will run, I think, the Tuesday after, so that'd be what, the 25th.
I didn't hear the first part. What are you talking
The
about?
Secretary of State race, KSPS will broadcast it.
A week later.
No, I heard 2 days later, so, anyway. Obviously, the KSPS schedule that you received at the first of last month doesn't have those, so you'll have to go online to double check their schedule. So. And I do want to say, if you want to volunteer, get in there fast because we almost have enough, so.
Okay, Becky also has an announcement, and then we'll go to online to see who else has an announcement.
Unfortunately, April didn't put this on the calendar. Anyway, so the League of Women Voters has partnered with the New Hope Resource Center, thank you, to have a presentation by Charles Durrett. He is an architect who did the haystacks here in town, and he's also worked a lot on how to do low-income housing that meets the standards of a neighborhood. So it's a solution to homelessness in your town by Charles Durrett on Thursday, November 3rd at Whitworth at the Robinson Teaching Theater at 7 p.m. And if you want information, Jennifer is putting that on the chat at cohousingco.com. Okay.
He was here in the spring and he was truly amazing. It was a super.
The thing about it is he addresses making sure the neighborhood is happy with the results, not that they feel they have been impressed into service.
And he's done several tiny home villages down in Oregon and other states that have. He's done a lot of tiny home villages down in Oregon and Portland and then other areas around the country. So he's got quite a background. And then that book is of the same title that he has.
Hey, oh yeah, anybody online? We still got 2 minutes.
Not that I can tell.
Anybody online want to announce anything?
Nobody's hand is up and.
Oh, okay, I need to raise my hand.
Oh, Dean.
Okay.
Go, please.
So I'm here to talk about the tea that we had a couple of weeks ago at Heavenly Teas. We are doing it again next month. There were 9 of us League of Women Voters devotees who came together and chatted up a storm. We need to get in a higher ceilinged place. I think they're going to put us actually in the tea room next time. I think we could double those numbers. I met some very interesting women I would not have met otherwise. So I'd like to encourage you to attend this time. When the information is posted in the newsletter, I will make sure there's no typo in my email address. And just feel free to reach out or crash the party, as a couple people did. I was glad to see that happen as well. And that's November 4th, a Friday, from noon to 1 at Heavenly Teas on a bus line and great parking.
Can you put your email in the chat too, Jean?
I
please?
will.
Thank you. This is Linda again. I'm trying to start a book club of some kind, and I need members who would like to read books. And we have to decide about which books we read. I did put one in the voter, and it was just a friend of mine that has published a book, and it actually has something about me in it, which is funny. But if we could get together, please email me if you're interested, and then I'll get with you and find out what days you're available, and we'll have a sit down with everybody and talk about books. Thank you. We're at time. So 1 second, we're at 7 o'clock. So I just want to respect people's times that needs to leave and wants to head out. So we are done, but we are going to stick around here and talk and ask questions, and you can online as well. Mary has her hand up.
I just wondered what kind of books, and Lynn said, don't know any kind.
Well, because
So stop the recording.
Oh, yes, go ahead and stop the recording.
Good call out, thank you.